Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, born in 1870 in the small town of Simbirsk on the banks of the Volga River, a name destined for the history books, a name that would become synonymous with revolution and change. From his early years, Lenin, as he would come to be known, displayed a sharp intellect and a thirst for knowledge. He was an avid reader, devouring books on philosophy, politics, and history. His family, though comfortably well off, faced a tragedy that would forever shape young Vladimir's worldview. They were a close-knit family, supportive and nurturing. His elder brother Alexander was arrested and executed for his involvement in a plot to assassinate Tsar Alexander III. This event was a turning point in Lenin's life. This event instilled in Lenin a deep hatred for the Tsarist autocracy and sowed the seeds of revolution in his heart. He became more determined than ever to fight against the oppressive regime. The loss of his brother had a profound impact on Lenin. It was a personal tragedy that fueled his political ambitions. It ignited within him a burning desire for justice and a burning anger against the oppressive regime. He began to see himself as a leader of the people, a voice for the voiceless. He became convinced that the only way to achieve true equality and freedom for the Russian people was through radical change. He immersed himself in revolutionary literature and began to organize and plan. The Tsar and his system had to go. The old order was corrupt and unjust. A new Russia, built on the principles of socialism, had to rise in its place. Lenin's vision was clear and his resolve was unshakable. Lenin's journey into the heart of revolutionary politics began in his university years. He devoured the works of Karl Marx, finding in them a framework for understanding the injustices he saw around him. Marx's ideas resonated deeply with Lenin's own experiences and fueled his growing belief in the necessity of a socialist revolution. He joined revolutionary circles, engaging in clandestine meetings and distributing illegal pamphlets. His activities soon attracted the attention of the Tsarist secret police. The Okhrana, exile to Siberia, a common punishment for dissidents, became Lenin's fate. But instead of breaking his spirit, the harsh conditions and forced isolation only strengthened his resolve. In the desolate wastelands of Siberia, Lenin continued to study, write, and refine his revolutionary theories. He corresponded with other exiled revolutionaries, forging the networks and alliances that would prove crucial in the years to come. Lenin emerged from exile even more determined to overthrow the Tsar and bring about a socialist revolution in Russia. The early 20th century saw the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, or RSDLP, emerge as a major force opposing the Tsarist regime. Within this party, however, a crucial divide emerged. Lenin, ever the radical, argued for a smaller, more disciplined party of professional revolutionaries. He believed that this vanguard party, guided by Marxist theory and unwavering in its commitment to revolution, was essential to lead the masses to victory. This faction, advocating for a more Bolshoi, or majority approach, became known as the Bolsheviks. Lenin's vision for the Bolsheviks went beyond simply seizing power. He envisioned a complete transformation of Russian society based on the principles of socialism. He called for the abolition of private property, the nationalization of industry, and the establishment of a worker state. His ideas, radical and uncompromising, set him apart from other factions within the RSDLP and laid the groundwork for the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. The year 1905 saw Russia erupt in a wave of unrest and rebellion, a year that would be etched into the annals of history. The disastrous Russo-Japanese War, coupled with growing economic hardship and political repression, ignited widespread protests and strikes across the country. The people, burdened by poverty and disillusioned by the Tsarist regime, took to the streets in unprecedented numbers. This was Russia's first revolution of the 20th century, a precursor to the cataclysm that would engulf the nation in 1917. It was a time of great turmoil and hope, as revolutionaries dreamed of a new order. Lenin, watching from exile, saw in the 1905 revolution both the potential and the limitations of spontaneous uprisings. He observed the fervor and the passion of the masses, but also the disorganization and lack of direction. The 1905 revolution, though ultimately crushed by the Tsarist regime, had a profound impact on Lenin's thinking. It was a harsh lesson in the brutal realities of power and repression. He realized that while the masses possessed immense revolutionary potential, they needed strong leadership and organization to succeed. The spontaneous energy of the people had to be harnessed and directed. The experience of 1905 reinforced his belief in the necessity of a disciplined vanguard party capable of seizing the moment and guiding the revolution to victory. He began to formulate strategies that would later become the cornerstone of Bolshevik success. Lenin learned from the failures of 1905, adapting his strategies and strengthening his resolve for the struggles to come. He knew that the path to revolution was fraught with challenges. but he was determined to overcome them. Section 5. Return to Revolution. World War I, a conflict that would reshape the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century, proved to be the catalyst for Lenin's return to Russia. The war, with its unprecedented scale and devastation, created a fertile ground for revolutionary ideas to take root, and the Bolshevik seizure of power. The war exacerbated existing tensions within Russian society, exposing the weaknesses of the Tsarist regime. The immense strain of the war effort highlighted the inefficiencies and corruption within the government, and pushing the country to the brink of collapse. In this crucible of war and revolution, Lenin saw an opportunity to put his theories into practice. The suffering and discontent among the Russian populace created a volatile environment ripe for change. In April 1917, Lenin returned to Russia from exile, his arrival at Petrograd's Finland station marking a turning point in the course of the revolution. His return was not just a physical journey, but a symbolic moment that energized the revolutionary movement. He immediately rallied the Bolsheviks, issuing his famous April Theses, which called for an end to Russia's participation in the war, the transfer of power to the Soviets, and the implementation of socialist policies. These bold demands resonated deeply with the war-weary and disillusioned masses. The transfer of power to the Soviets and the implementation of socialist policies. Lenin's vision for a new Russia began to take shape, offering hope to those who had suffered under the old regime. Lenin's return galvanized the Bolsheviks, providing them with the leadership and direction needed to capitalize on the growing chaos and discontent engulfing Russia. His presence and ideas were the spark that ignited the revolutionary fervor. The stage was set for the October Revolution. The Bolsheviks, under Lenin's leadership, were now poised to seize control and reshape the future of Russia. Section 6. Forging a New Russia. The October Revolution, a pivotal moment in world history, saw the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, seize control of the government and establish the world's first socialist state. This event sent shockwaves across the globe, inspiring revolutionary movements and forever altering the balance of power. Lenin, now at the helm of a nation in turmoil, faced the daunting task of transforming his revolutionary vision into a concrete reality. Lenin moved swiftly to consolidate Bolshevik power and implement his socialist agenda. He issued decrees nationalizing land and industry, transferring control to the workers and peasants. He established the Cheka, a secret police force, to root out counter-revolutionary activity. He signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, ending Russia's involvement in World War I, albeit at a heavy cost. These were years of radical change, civil war, and immense upheaval as Lenin fought to secure the revolution and build a new Russia on the ashes of the old. Section 7. The Legacy of Lenin. Lenin's health, however, began to deteriorate. The stress of leading a nation through revolution and civil war took its toll. In 1922, he suffered a series of strokes that left him partially paralyzed and increasingly removed from the day-to-day running of the government. His final years were marked by illness and a growing concern for the future of the revolution he had fought so hard to achieve. Lenin's death in 1924, at the age of 53, plunged the Soviet Union into a period of uncertainty and power struggles. His legacy, however, would continue to loom large over the Soviet Union and the wider world. He was hailed as a visionary leader, a brilliant strategist, and the architect of the October Revolution. His ideas, enshrined in the ideology of Marxism-Leninism, became the guiding principles of the Soviet state and inspired communist movements across the globe. Section 8. A controversial figure. Lenin's legacy is not without its critics. His opponents view him as a ruthless dictator who established a totalitarian regime responsible for widespread repression and suffering. They point to the Red Terror, a period of intense violence and persecution directed against perceived enemies of the revolution. They argue that Lenin's policies laid the foundation for the excesses of Stalinism and the horrors of the Gulag. The debate surrounding Lenin's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a product of his time, a revolutionary operating in a period of immense upheaval and violence. His actions, both during and after the revolution, were often shaped by the exigencies of the moment and the need to consolidate power in the face of internal and external threats. Assessing his legacy requires a nuanced understanding of the historical context in which he lived and the challenges he faced. Section 9. Lenin's global impact. Despite the controversies, Lenin's impact on the 20th century is undeniable. He inspired revolutions and liberation movements across the globe, from Asia to Africa to Latin America. His ideas challenged the existing world order, forcing a reassessment of the relationship between capital and labor, the role of the state, and the nature of power itself. Lenin's legacy continues to be debated and reinterpreted in the 21st century. The collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War have led to a reassessment of his ideas and their relevance to the modern world. Yet his influence can still be felt in contemporary political discourse, particularly in discussions about economic inequality, social justice, and the role of the state in addressing these issues. Section 10. Lenin in the 21st century. Today, Lenin's image adorns monuments and murals across Russia and beyond. His writings continue to be studied and debated in academic circles and political movements. His mausoleum in Moscow's Red Square remains a site of pilgrimage for some and a source of controversy for others. Lenin's legacy, complex and contradictory, continues to fascinate and provoke, a testament to the enduring power of his ideas and the enduring impact of the revolution he led.